Hey, and welcome to On the Chain. This is the On the Chain Roundtable here with co-host Chip right over there. And we've got a special guest with us tonight from the XRP community. We've got James Rule XRP with us right below us here on the roundtable tonight. Welcome, James. Man, it's awesome to have you here with us.
Hey, I appreciate it, guys. It's an exciting time to be in this space right now.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And make sure you guys go down below, hit that subscribe button on our channel, but go a little bit further down into the description. You'll find a direct link to James's channel, because James is also making phenomenal videos up on YouTube, and he's posting content on a regular basis and doing amazing research. So we've got a ton of stuff to talk about with you guys this evening, and it's all getting ready to start right now.
And now, the roundtable with Jeff and Chip on the chain.
Bam, and we are back, man. This is outstanding. Hey, I just want to make sure you guys get a little bit of espresso or something. I know it's evening, but if I start a video and I'm not drinking a little bit of espresso, then I'm not starting a video.
That's right, Jeff. And you'll be proud of me today, because not only did I have some espresso, but it's also the wife. We enjoyed a nice little Bustelo in the morning today. And it was nice, man. It was nice starting off the morning. What did you have, James? Anything?
I had good old coffee, Folgers coffee in the Keurig.
Oh, nice. The Folgers. What's that? What was that little? They used to have a little rhyme. Folgers in the cup. What was it called?
Folgers in the cup. Something about starting the day. Folgers in the cup. Oh, waking up. Yeah. So it's the best part of waking up is
Folgers in the cup. That's right. Says James XR Rule.
Okay, now we just got banned from YouTube.
Boom.
Oh yeah.
Boom.
Boom, just like that.
Just like that. Nice.
So today we're going to talk about everything other than crypto, digital asset. No. So man, there's so much going on in the space. You know what would be interesting to talk about, because we were talking about this right before we started out here, and I think it's a great place to pick up gold or Bitcoin. Mike Novogratz was saying that, hey, you know what? Bitcoin is actually a better bet to start buying right now than gold. What do you guys think? James, what are your thoughts on that?
Bitcoin is limited. Bitcoin is valuable. You know, a lot of people are in it, as well as other cryptos. So cryptocurrency is the wave of the future. And I've been researching this stuff every day. And, Bitcoin is a big deal. I'm not a maximalist. I never bash any other cryptocurrency. So, but yeah, Bitcoin is big and gold is big. I mean, if you own either, you're at the right place at the right time right now.
Yeah, there's and it's amazing right now. Yesterday in my stream, I was talking a lot about kind of where the market was going. I was looking at Ethereum, I was looking at XRP. Chip, man, you were there for the stream. What are your thoughts?
I was. Well, I just wanted to talk about the gold thing. I want to address that question.
That's what I meant. So. Yeah, that's what I want to get into the gold thing.
Well, I mean, look at this. So gold, you look over the last couple of years, going from 1,100 to breaking 2,000, an all-time high, right? You look at Bitcoin, is up 35% from January. So, when I look at around hovering around close to 12,000 now, look, I agree with the statement wholeheartedly. I mean, if you're going to look for return on investment, right? What would be a better return on investment? Would it be gold right now? So you buy, let's say you have $10,000. You buy, five, whatever it is. What is that? What is the, I don't know what the price deviation for gold is. It per, I don't know what it is. Whatever it is. So you spend $10,000 on gold. You put $10,000 into Bitcoin. Okay, so what do you think is going to have a better return? If gold goes up to $500, which is a lot, Bitcoin would end up going up to something like 15, 20,000, 25,000, 30,000. I think your return on investment is going to be better. So I agree with what they're saying, because I believe that Bitcoin one day in the very near future, within the next 2 to 5 years, will be hovering around anywhere from 25 to 50,000. It could go to 100,000. If someone said, "Oh, it's going to 100,000," I don't doubt that. I wholeheartedly believe it's going to get there. Now, the thing that's good about Bitcoin is the fact that it's limited, right? And when you remove the big whales and the wallet, where's the real circulating supply? It's very small. So it's very limited in what you can buy. When it's something is scarce, the value will ultimately go up. And then when everybody starts coming into the market and they're like, oh, Bitcoin, because everyone's heard of it. They're like, yeah, Bitcoin, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Some people call it Bitcom, but I mean, if you're Maxine Waters, you call it Bitcom. But ultimately, I think from an investment standpoint, yeah. But here's the downside to that whole argument. Gold has been a method of exchange across cultures and across tens of thousands of years, right? From the beginning. You go back 2000 and people had gold coins. They were exchanging. It was a medium of exchange. So Bitcoin is 11 years into the experiment, right? And right now it's valuable, but we also know a lot of it's controlled from one country out there. A lot of it's being mined. We don't know we don't know what the breakdown is per se. So I think there's always that. Now, if you want the safe bet, if you want to be secure with your money, gold's it'll go up and down. Could gold go to 3,000-4,000? I also think that's possible. But if you're looking for a better return on your investment quickly, it's probably going to be Bitcoin, but it's going to be come with a little more risk.
Now, Chip, I mean, we know that Bitcoin is just, fictitious money on the computer. So, what do you guys think, that here we are in this digital space, right? And we're starting to look at more and more mainstream adoption moving into, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, whatever it might be, but there's still maybe some misconception out there that this digital asset space, whether it's Bitcoin or whatever, is still a short-term thing. And there's still some inherent risk in trying to get into this space because it's all kind of created money out of thin air, which is what how some of mainstream is still potentially looking at it and trying to understand this. So the other night, Stan, is up in front of a group and different topic, but I brought this up and started talking a little bit about digital asset, and it was interesting to see people's response. And that was some of the comments that I got, which is, oh, it's just fool's money, and where's it going to be in a couple years? It's not going to be anywhere. And I'm like, well, you got to understand the dynamics. And they're like, oh, everyone thought euro was taking over the world too, the euro. And I said, okay, there's a longer conversation than we want to get into, but there's still going to be a lot of misconception out there. And so, James, I know you're doing a ton of, back end research. You're bringing up a lot of great topics. One of the things that we talked about right before we started was how many new people are coming into this space. What are some of the things that that you're seeing, or that we can actually help mainstream people as they come in understand the dynamics a little bit better?
Well, the biggest thing I'm seeing, I joined Twitter in January, and excuse me, it is just unbelievable, the new people coming into this space. I think the biggest thing for the new people coming in is actually knowing how to buy crypto, how to, get on an exchange, set up their wallets, just the basics that we learned years ago. Everybody coming into this daily, I'm seeing people come in and leave me messages on Twitter as well as YouTube, just asking me, how do I do this? Because I'm trying to teach the teachers. That's the way I look at it. Teaching the teachers, everybody new into the crypto space, and we're just a small percentage of the world that's actually doing this, are getting excited, not just by watching videos, but just kind of learning about the technology. And I'll tell everybody in my every video, do your own research. If you're going to invest in anything, whether it be real estate or stocks and bonds or crypto, research it in detail before you actually make that purchase. But I think the biggest thing is presenting this to the public as if this was the first day they've seen cryptocurrency. And that's the way I look at it. I try to present that in a lot of my videos as tutorials to the world of crypto. So, right. That's pretty much what I try to do, is just present it to the newbies, and as well as the people that have been here a while, just to get it out there, just to let people know this is legit. It is an investment. And it really excites me. I spend hours a day researching this, and it's just exciting to be a part of this community.
When did you get into crypto? Like, when did you first come to it? Like, when did you hear about it? What were your first thoughts? You're like, because the first time you hear about this, it's kind of like, hey, did you know that there's aliens that landed in my backyard? It's a kind of a weird conversation because you're like, it's out of left field. When did you first hear about it? Yeah, and when did it happen to you too? Yeah. And when did you first get into crypto? When did you first start buying? What did you buy originally?
You know, I heard about crypto years ago whenever Bitcoin came out, but I never thought anything of it. I thought, just like other people see it today, as, you know, what is this? It's the unknown. But as I was working in the oil field in 2017, I was making pretty good money back then in West Texas. And I started researching investments and different things to get into. In mid 2017, I actually signed up on Binance. And I purchased $400 worth of Bitcoin. I didn't know what I was doing. I was saying, well, you know, I've heard of Bitcoin. It seemed, you know, it's gone up in value. Let's try this out and see what happens. So, of course, the end of 2017, we had the bull run. And I had been researching Ripple and XRP in the meantime. And right after the bull run, I exchanged everything for XRP. And that's why my name is James Rule XRP, because I've been investing in it for 3 years. I believe in it. And it is a use case cryptocurrency as well as VeChain. I mean, we can get on many different cryptos in this conversation, but mid 2017 is when I actually dove into cryptocurrency.
Interesting. That's really interesting. Yeah, Chip, what do you think? I know you like following cartoon characters to get your typical crypto investment advice. But what would you say to newcomers to the space? Which cartoon character do you think would be best to get advice from?
Well, Jeff, I have a secret Twitter list, and I call it Bears and Riddlers, and I probably should make it public so everybody can follow along. But yeah, I have a bunch of people in there, you know, Mr. Pool, Baba Cugs, and just a whole bunch of like weird people in there, and BG123. Because I think, look, I mean, if you find a space that has a cartoon bear and it's like telling you to get some crypto, I think really that's something you should pay some mind to, you know, because that's the only reason I really sort of invested, because, you know, I like cartoons, and, you know, it's one of the reasons that, you know, Jeff and I started talking about the Yeti coin, because, you know, Yeti, you can't leave out the Yeti. You know, the Yeti has a space and deserves to have something. But I would say on a serious note, look, James said it right off the bat. You got to do your own research, right? Just because I feel comfortable taking advice from a cartoon bear and a Riddler doesn't mean that everyone's going to feel that comfortable about it. And, you know, just like James too, like I liquidated my Bitcoin positions too, just to get into XRP. But, you know, for me, you know, everybody has a different reason why they invest. You know, Jeff always says this, you know, don't be emotional about your investment, you know, but I do have some guiding principles that I follow, and James really touched on it. It has to do with utility. So utility, you know, meaning, does it have a use case? Can it be used? And everybody, I think, has kind of pigeonholed Ripple and XRP into this one cross-border payments. I mean, when you can do transactions in 3 to 4 seconds, you're wide open. That's why you have Forte. That's why you have, you know, gaming, and you can, you know, they put 100 million into that. That's why you have micropayments with Coil. That's why you have Flare Network, which is bringing the smart contracts and interoperability with your Ethereum contracts, right? And the way that they're doing it, and the reason they've been working on this for a couple of years, is it's very deep, but it's going to be very beneficial. And the smart contracts they're working on, I feel like they are in a position right now to bring a lot of attention over to XRP, and the whole idea of the spark and how you stake the coin and how you have the FXRP. I think a lot of that stuff, and, you know, we'll get into this in the future, but I joined that Flare Network user group, and man, there's so many people, the excitement about it, because, you know, we have Codius, Codius has been around. I know Mickey B. Fresh put out a really awesome tweet the other day about, you know, Codius is not dead. So that was really good to see. But I think that this whole space, we should never pigeonhole, because a lot of people get disappointed in this space. They're like, well, you know, oh my God, they're changing their strategy and the ODL. Listen, every company has to try stuff. Every company is going to see where they get some traction. But from its inception, You know, Ripple put out proprietary software. We don't even know what's going on behind. If you have over 300 partners, James, how many partners do we really know about? For if we had to name them, how many do we know that Ripple's partnered with in this space? How many do you think that number is?
Man, I think it's way over 300, to be honest with you.
But I'm saying, how many do we know? Like, if we had put a chart and put them all together, is it 20?
Oh,
Is it 30, 40?
maybe 20, 30, if that. I mean,
And there's 300.
There's 300. It's unbelievable. The unknown out there is just unbelievable. And people look at XRP at 30 cents and go, man, you know, what is this? Some people call it a crap coin, or I'm not going to say the word, but yeah. But yeah, there you go. He said it for me. But the utilities, you know, Ripple has been our XRP has been around for a while, and this technology has been here. You know, there's no telling what is going on behind the scenes today with the banks, with the IMF. And I'm just speculating that this technology has been in the research for a while now. You know,
that's great. That's a good point, James. Yeah, here's something to throw, you know, that kind of down that path is that, you know, everything that we see, you know, when you know, it doesn't matter what, corporate level you want to talk about. You know, this would be like people, you know, trying to understand the dynamics behind Amazon's next big purchase.
Mm-hmm.
You know, who's Amazon's next big partner? Does anybody know? You know, how about Google? You know, what's the next big project Google's going to work on or buy? How many companies has Google bought? How many projects has Google started and destroyed? How about Google Music that they're getting ready to shut down? How many? You know, it's amazing. So then people look at what Ripple is doing in the blockchain space. Everyone is so emotional, hyper focused on stuff that they kind of forget that there's all these other big companies out there and people don't know what's going on behind the scenes, you know, and they're only going to let you see what they want you to see, you know. And so, you know, to that point, you know, we see some of the key players out there. The other thing that we have to take into consideration, you know, two things, you know, one that Chip is talking about, there's a lot of platforms being built around the XRP ledger. You know, that is an important infrastructure. You know, what you're talking about, you know, with the banking partners and the growth in the banking partner space, you know, that's an important aspect of it. So now we're looking at the creation of the foundation, right? So this would be like looking at Amazon a number of years ago when it was selling books, and everyone's looking at Amazon saying, you're selling books online, who cares? You know, you're never going to succeed. Meanwhile, Jeff Bezos is sitting up there in his office, you know, brainstorming like, all right, you know, how are we gonna? What else can we do, right? And here's Jeff Bezos looking at eBay, you know, and looking and thinking about eBay and seeing the change from eBay that's going. All right, eBay was all auction, and it was individuals that were selling their stuff online. But wait a minute, now I'm starting to see businesses sell brand new product on eBay. Oh no, eBay, you can't do that. You can't change your business model. That doesn't make any sense, you know? And then, you know, so all this thought process, it's all emotional. You know, people just don't, a lot of people are commenting. It goes back to your point, you know, earlier about, you know, how do we educate people? What kind of information do we bring to mainstream? You know, we have a lot of new investors, meaning that they've never invested before ever, you know? So FOMO and FUD and cartoon bears, you know, and the reason why we bring that up and joke about it, it's important. You know, people have to understand that when you come into a space and you've never invested in anything before, you know, emotions are always going to be a big part of that. And you have to figure out how to step away from that. You know, what are your thoughts?
Well, so many people get in a hurry when they see a new investment or, you know, like, wow, XRP is 30 cents. I need to get into this. They try to get into it a lot faster than they need to. Just take your time. You know, if you're investing in something, dig down, research it. And of course, when you sign up on an exchange, you got the KYC, you got the 2FA, and those are technical terms if you're just now watching this video. But take your time and know what you're doing. You know, don't get in a hurry. I even tell people, if you're getting into crypto, go to your financial institution and set up a checking account just for cryptocurrency. Don't attach your savings. Don't attach your primary, you know, checking account that you pay your bills with to buy crypto. You know, think smart before you do something, before you do this.
Yeah,
That's what
right.
that's what some people do. But Jeff, I want to circle back to your point because I think it's really spot on here. I want to show people this right here. Let me share my screen here. So look at this. This is one of my favorite sites to go to and visit. It's called Killed by GOOGLE.com. Okay, and check this out. This is
Never
like
heard of it.
this is the graveyard, right? So I want to. This is 3 long. Now let's watch it. Look at all the projects. Okay, so if you want to know what they've done really well, Google has done search. They've done search really well. They've monetized the hell out of it. And these are all the projects along the way that they have killed. Guys, taking this in, there's over 200 of them. So, when somebody's trying something new, I want you to see the ugly truth is, look at them all. Just look at all of these. Google Health, Google Desktop, Google Labs, Google Sets, Google, and that you have the little, the date when they started and then when they ended. Look at this. It's insane, right? It's
Yeah,
just
that's crazy.
it's an insanity that and I wanted to bring that back because you made a really good point there, Jeff, is that people go like, oh, well, you're changing your this and that. And a company as big as Google, they bought a little fledgling video startup thing called YouTube. And when they got YouTube, they acquired it for $1 billion, and everyone's like, you're crazy. And the last year, as a first year, they announced how much in 2019, how much Google actually had revenue, and it was $15 billion. That's how amazing this platform has become. And if you look, they take 30%. So what were the creators paid out, on ads? So if they take 30%, like from super chats and everything else, you realize that creators and livelihoods and a lot of things were created off of the platform. So yeah, people can complain that they take a lot, but you know what? They build the marketplace. That they built the marketplace, they get all of the credit. And when you look at who's building that sort of ecosystem, do you think people always go, well, there's going to be competitors? There will be competitors that'll come into the space with Ripple. The cool thing is when Brad Garlinghouse said, hey, we are solving a $10 trillion problem. It's actually probably bigger than that, but the specific problem that they're going after, and if you count the SMEs and you drag them in there, it's $25 trillion. It's $120 trillion worldwide. And that's when you see some of the focus. And a lot of people talk about the SMEs and what the sizes are, but it's not really the size of the company, it's the potential. Now, man, we can have a crap ton of, there could be 5 or, I mean, think about that, Jeff. How many people could come into the space? How many competitors could come in and still be enough slice of the pie? Like, what do you see as the future growth? And, what about competitors coming into the space?
And me personally, it's crazy. I think competition is the best thing you can ever have. If you don't have competition, you become complacent. Bitcoin without competition might never have developed into anything. It might have just been some interesting thing that people in the back rooms of playing on their computers played with, because it's interesting, but it's not that interesting. But the creators of even Bitcoin probably had a much bigger idea in mind, and this is the vision right now because we're seeing it all unfold in a 10-year period of time. And so you have to have competition. Imagine Coke without Pepsi. Imagine Burger King without McDonald's. And then when you only have 2, you need more. Then other than think about if you have Burger King and McDonald's, then you say, well, there's no more space for hamburger places. But then what do you see pop up all over the place? Then you see Five Guys and what are the other Burger Smash? I don't know, just all the signs that they're all doing burgers, but BurgerFi, but they're all doing it a little bit different, right? They put their little spin on it, but look how much space there is. It's like, holy crap, did Wendy's, Burger King, McDonald's, and whomever crush the market? No, because they did it their way. Someone else said, I can do it better. I can do it different. They do it different. Now it puts everyone on notice. Look at like then you introduce like a thing about fast food franchises, but you bring like a Taco Bell, right? Now all of a sudden they're doing certain things, and now right, and everyone's like mixing it up. Like, well, we're all fighting for that same space, but yet the space keeps growing. So now let's look at it from a technical or financial perspective. We could say, oh, the crypto space is getting buried. Okay, but who are we competing against? Because if you're looking for investment dollars, you're competing against every stock that's on the stock exchange. That's where money goes, right? That's investment dollars. Now in the crypto space, now we're trying to attract the people that are investing here. You want to attract them into the crypto space, but again, if it was just Bitcoin, people in the investment space are gonna be like, not so interesting, but now you have Ripple taking on Swift. We talked a lot about that. Really, really important that they're taking on a major conglomerate. Swift went, basically unchecked since 1972, 73, 74, whatever the date was they started Swift, unchecked for how many years, and they became complacent and fat and lazy, but all the banks became, they relied on it, and so now it's time to disrupt that. So that's my take on it. I think competition is the best thing because it doesn't just benefit the company and puts them on notice to make a better product, but it allows the consumer to have better options. Imagine, Microsoft without Apple. I mean, it would be like, oh, Microsoft, you suck. And then Apple, Apple without Microsoft, oh, Apple, you suck. Because you're complacent and lazy, and you're not going to develop a product that people want. iPhone versus Android. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But that's my thought. What do you think, James? I mean, competition important or not?
Well, competition is good when you're looking at, as I was stating before, the use cases in some of the different cryptos. Competition is a plus. I mean, there are thousands of cryptocurrencies in this space. And when you look at the total market cap, what is it? 379 billion roughly. And then you look at the derivatives in the world and how huge the quadrillions of dollars compare current cryptocurrency to the derivatives. And it is just this space. It's just incredible. I mean, I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, I mean, competition is good. I worked for Coca-Cola for 17 years and Pepsi was our competitor, and we would fight for door space and displays.
Were they really, James? Were they really? I always see Pepsi as being like I always thought Coke was like really ahead always. No, or is it just a perception of mine?
It is. We are, but we'd always give perks to the managers to let us, or Pepsi would give them put their displays, slide right in.
You heard that here first on the chain.
Yeah.
Coke's better than Pepsi.
But anyway, in the South, Coke and Dr. Pepper in my area are the top two, and we had Dr. Pepper as well. But getting off that, yeah, competition is key. No matter what you're dealing with, cryptocurrencies. There are many, many cryptos to research, and do your research. If you're new to this, do your research.
People don't like the research though, do they, James? I mean, that's why we rely on guys like you, and other people in the space, because like research is hard. Let's say people do your own research and they're like, but that's where we rely heavily. If you're in the Twitter space and you look at some people like the videos that you put out, you're covering news and people can learn from what you're doing. We put out videos, mostly short form on the other channel, which is down below. You can click over there and sub over there. But I think, the stuff you share on Twitter and the stuff that you uncover, and a lot of people in the space, I think that really helps, because I think, the do your own research thing is kind of like, we do our own research, right? We looked into stuff, but let's face it, man, there's so many projects that Jeff and I come across and want to research, and we've talked about on the channel, that it just becomes to a point is like, it's a little bit easier if somebody sort of uncovers that. Like the stuff you did, like you did this price video the other day where it was, imagining what would be the price. I think it was like a $10, XRP, right? And kind of speculating on what that looks like. But that's all based in what we know today and utility. And it's not based in like, fairy dust where it's like, because, some of you gotta, people that are new to this space, avoid some of the people out there. There are YouTubers out there that will put the same video out every day. And yeah, we all talk about, something blowing up, is it big, whatever. But the video itself is all based on sound principles. And if we speculate, we say we speculate. We don't say 589, it's coming by Thursday, and they didn't flip the switch on Thursday. It's next week, and it's next year, and it's next time. And it's the same video every single day. And it's like, that gets to be a little weird. But James, like the do your own research thing, when you say that, it's like, okay, get it. But where does somebody start researching a product? What project? Where would you say to somebody new, where would you start looking on that research? I mean, you start with the white paper. Where do you start digging around? And what should people be looking for when they're researching a project?
Rule XRP. Check out the YouTube channel.
There you go.
Hey, there you go. James
below.
down there. When you look at cryptocurrency and how the news is getting spread in the world today, social media and YouTube are pretty much the only, along with Google, are the only sources. You don't see national news talking about Ripple, XRP, Bitcoin, Ethereum. So, when you get into, I use Coin Paprika. I go to coinpaprika.com. I'm not affiliated with them, but I use it as a reference point on pricing. And also, if I want to research a particular cryptocurrency, I can go to Coin Paprika and click on a particular crypto and see where their webpage is located, see what the white paper, has to offer. And there's a lot of information that you just have to dig into. Don't let YouTube or Twitter make your buying decision. That's a big deal. Don't let someone influence you into buying something unless you've done your research. But yeah, go in and Google, if you hear about a certain cryptocurrency, ADA, Ethereum, VeChain, whatever, go in and Google it and tear it down and see what it's all about. And social media does have a lot of information on this. There are people that just talk about XRP or VeChain or Bitcoin or whatever, and just
Chainlink.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, we've seen a lot of rise in we've seen a lot of rise in the marketplace, right, Jeff? I mean, think about it. I mean, everything's like pumping, except for our most favorite status stablecoin, which you almost named your video yesterday on that. But you think about when we're looking at this, I look at Chainlink and I'm like, it's at 19 at the time of this, that we're doing this. And I'm like, I almost feel like there was a time where I was like a little bit into this, a little bit in that, a little bit of this. And there comes a time where, you got to find the investments, just like if you invest in the stock market. Look, the hold is, I mean, the sort of the overall thing is like, what are we doing? Like if you're trading and you're trying to trade, looking for the quick dollar, that's a different strategy than a longer term hold. Now, when I got an XRP originally, to me, it was like a minimum 5-year hold, and that's coming up. And anyway, I'm not going to talk about that. But anyways, so you go, like it was a longer type of a hold. But like if you get into something like, some of these other projects that, are 0.006 and then they go up to 18 cents and you had $1 million and then you can cash out, and it's like, maybe that's your shorter term. We all got into this for a number of reasons. Yeah, digital assets are great, Jeff, but isn't it to make money? Isn't that our ultimate purpose in this?
Making money. I mean, I think at the end of the day, that's what, that's everybody's objective. I mean, the whole point of being in business is to make money. Nobody's in it for the nonprofit aspect of it. I think there's a lot of projects that might develop out of or a lot of projects that will become not-for-profit, that can take advantage of this space to help other people. That's going to come from individual desire to help people, not from government involvement. That never works. But what we want to see in this space, is people, having, ideas and building and developing, because at the end of the day, they want to benefit financially, and I was saying yesterday, this is the one opportunity of all time in history that gives everybody, again, an opportunity to build and grow in a space. When we saw the high-tech boom of the 90s, if you didn't go to MIT, if you didn't live in Silicon Valley, you didn't do anything, right? You didn't see big, internet projects during that period of time in the 90s blossoming out of all sorts of places. The majority of them, everything was in Silicon Valley. That was it. I mean, there might have been some exceptions to the rule, but for the most part, but now it doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter what country you're in. Everybody has an opportunity for the first time ever having access to movement of currency, which is amazing too. If we think about it from that perspective, that you go back a couple of years, and if you lived in, I don't know, in part of Africa, and I like using that, most of Africa is still in a kind of a developing state, as many parts of South America, let's say. But you can use any country in the world. Let's use India as a good example, because they still have some blockades to allowing digital asset. So it's hampering the growth of the blockchain space in India. India could probably be one of the biggest contributors to the blockchain space, but yet the government is still holding them back, through over-regulation, overzealousness. But again, if you look at these companies that are popping up over in Africa, it's amazing, because they have the technology, they have the know-how, but the big part of all of that is movement of currency. So countries didn't have easy access to US dollars. People in other countries don't have easy access to the euro, or any of the big trade currencies, in order to develop or do anything. But now, for the first time ever, you can develop something. You have your token. You can move in Ethereum and Bitcoin or whatever. But now you have movement of currency, which allows you to build your company and grow. And there's a whole infrastructure that's now developing around that. So that's that's everything. I don't even remember what you asked me.
Doesn't matter, Jeff. It was a good rant. I was really enjoying that. I think I wanted to get back to James here on the subject. So based on some of the stuff you've been looking at, video, in the space, what are some other projects that you like, or that you think have some pretty decent utility? I know you mentioned VeChain, but do you see some other things that you feel like have a pretty good opportunity for growth as far as the utility side of it?
Man, well, there's been several. I invested in Casino Coin, which runs on the XRP ledger. They're based on the XRP ledger for gambling. But here a couple of days ago, I actually posted on Twitter that I'm finally down to my top two, and my top two only, which are XRP and VeChain only. And I pissed a lot of people off because they said, what about VeChain? What about Zap? What about these other ones you're investing in? Honestly, that is my personal decision. I invest in what I believe in, and I can present this news to you every day. And, the future is unknown. We don't know where this is going to take us. We may be a cashless society here in the next 5 to 10 years. And people are always asking me, what's your exit strategy? Right now, I don't have an exit strategy. Matter of fact, I have an entry strategy right now before this thing starts to gradually take off. So, Casino Coin is one of them that I had a piece of, but I've looked at Zap. I've seen there's been an increase on Zap Coin, which has oracles, and we can get into a totally new video talking about it, but there are several out there. My top two are XRP and VeChain, and because of the use cases and the worldwide use cases, and pretty much going from there. There's so many others out there that have use cases, but those are my top two, and now only my top two investments. So
nice.
Well,
what about what were you feeling about Chainlink and because I know Zap's another one that's on, but there's some other ones too that are kind of poised for a breakout. I just don't know the long-term viability for some of these projects. I think that, the idea is to make money in the space, but you got to go with, you can't invest in everything, right? So, it's like, even like something Jeff talked about before, if you're a big company, yeah, you're going to miss things along the way. Warren Buffett still said, he still missed a lot of the internet stuff that happened. He missed a lot of the, he's not in the cryptocurrency, or at least he says, but he invested, he basically saved Bank of America around 2008 when he put a lot of money into it and he got double the return out like in less than a year or year and a half. So he's also doubled down on investing in Bank of America, which we know is like the most overrated, underrated, supposed, partner of Ripple that's been out there. But look, even Buffett, who's had a tremendous run for a long time, you can't hit them all, and so part of it is, I think too, is keeping your head on straight, because it's easy to FOMO. You start seeing stuff go through the roof, and you're like, whoa, it's like you start getting excited about it. But I look at stuff, look at your core principles of how you invest, be open-minded and look at stuff. You might look at a project, some of the projects that have done pretty well, I've looked at initially, and I was like, my thing is, depends on the exchange I got to buy it on. There's a lot of exchanges out there I just don't have a lot of trust around. You know what I mean? I just don't have high trust. And so I want to buy it on the exchanges that I like to use that are regulated, your Upholds, your Coinbases, and hopefully soon Binance US, will come to Florida, because that would be another one that I'd like to. It's just they haven't opened up Florida, but those would be my, they're regulated, they're in the US. And there's the stuff that I bought on BitTrue because, it's the only place I can buy something. So when you look at this, you're like, well, some of these exchanges seem wonky. There's just so many of them out there, but I look at that too. I mean, I don't know, does that ever come into play for you guys where you have, based on the exchange itself?
Yeah, BitTrue has given me the opportunity to buy altcoins that I cannot find anywhere else.
Right.
And the same with me. Binance US is not available in Texas at this moment. So, diversification is key, and like fear of missing out. I used to trade stocks on Fidelity, and you have to have the mentality of when you make a sell or make a profit, don't look back on it. If you're going to sell something and make a profit, don't go back and look at it the next day and say, crap, I should have held it. If you made a piece off of something, be happy that you made that piece. Like cryptocurrencies, don't have the fear of missing out. There are many cryptocurrencies that are not going to survive this digital age. I try to mainly focus on the use case utility cryptos. And there are many out there that I haven't even researched yet that will probably be a major success in the community. But the biggest thing for me, don't FOMO. And if you're, there's no exit strategy for me at this point. As the prices start going up, I may change my mind. I might leave it in the account. If cryptocurrency is the norm here in the near future, why cash it out if the US dollar goes to crap?
That's the one point that I still have had trouble wrapping my head around, with so many people in the space. They focus on exit strategies, and we've seen DAI talked about exit strategies for like the past year and a half. Exit strategy. I said, well, the space is still developing. We're in the infancy of the space. Hey, you know what? I'm going to start investing in high tech in the 90s, but I'm setting up my exit strategy to get out of it, because I don't think it's going to be around long enough. At some point, it's all going to implode. So I need to get my exit strategy in place. When you trade stock, you always have an incoming strategy and an outgoing strategy if you're trading. But if you're investing over a long term for a project, your exit strategy is, I don't know, 10, 15 years out, because my strategy is buy and hold, let's say. So you have like Warren Buffett, which was a buy and hold type of scenario. He didn't trade stocks. He bought and held stocks, and he bought a shit ton of it, and when you look at the different types of strategies, who has the bigger gains in the long run? Can you outdo a market investing like S&P 500 over long periods of time? You're always ahead. You're never below. But when you're trading, it's going to be against you, because most people don't understand how to trade. So they're trying to guess the market, or they're trying to predict the market. And that always, when you try to predict the market, it's always going to, bite you, because you're never going to be able to predict the highs. You're never going to be able to predict the lows. Like you said, be happy with what your gain is. The one thing I always did when I was trading stock was, I always had everything mapped out. I knew from the entry point to the exit point and my potential loss. If you don't understand that part of it, then stay away from trading, because it's all going to be an emotional roller coaster. And even with the best laid plan, and you start getting emotional, then you screw up, and you make mistakes. And I think, that's a really big part of it. And it's amazing. I think, that's, and as we start seeing, we're seeing more and more of these new investors coming into the space that don't understand the trade, and then like you said, you're trying to FOMO and predict, and when do you get out, when do you come in, when do you get, holy crap, we're in the infancy stage. Like you said, if we believe that this market is going in a certain direction, then your exit strategy should be a diversification strategy, not an exit strategy, right? It's how do I leverage all the different things that are going on to my best advantage, right? So sometimes you have to readjust your portfolio, but it's where are you exiting to? That's what I don't get, and, so we have, there's some growing pains. Chip, you brought up, Coinbase and Uphold and all those. we see some growing pains with Coinbase, as we've seen pretty much for 2 years. Whenever there's a significant period where people want to sell, then Coinbase seems to have technical issues with that, and Uphold is making some unique changes right now where they're allowing you basically immediate access to your fund, immediate ACH. So they're floating the risk on the ACH and giving you access and putting digital asset in your account right away. They're making things more streamlined to allow you to diversify within your own portfolio. Right, Chip? Well, what are your thoughts on all of this? Diversification. I know your exit strategy. I don't. But
you don't really know, but
no.
That's a good thing. Like Jeff knows everything, really. He really does. So look, I think one of the things that changes this, and I think you bring up a great point, James, because and Jeff has has said this very early on. Look, the whole thing that I'll tell you what's changed the whole idea of this exit strategy. Banks custodying crypto. So you will go to your bank, you'll log into your app, Chase, B of A, whatever it may be, Citibank, and you'll be able to just, it'll be flawless because you'll be able to say, oh, I want to buy, $300 worth of XRP, $200 worth of VeChain. I want to buy, whatever it may be. Now the thing about it is that I always like when something new comes out, right? Because we always float back to an earlier technology. We always name something based on where we've been. And so with banks, it's like you don't have to teach somebody something new. People are very familiar. Like you remember when Bill Pay came out, it's like, well, wait a minute. What it did was it sent a check. You could actually put the address and everything, and then the way you paid it from your bank was it sent a check. And then the check went to then they sent the check for you. I'm like, okay, you see, because that's based on older thinking. Now it's just instant, boom, boom, boom. You go like that, and then you go directly to. Then they started offering you could pay your water bill, and you could pay your gas bill, and you could pay your mortgage, and everything else was online. And we don't have to teach people how to do that. You know what else we don't have to teach people how to do? How to buy stocks. If you're in Fidelity, now you just go like, oh, boom, I buy it there. So all of these banks being able to custody crypto, I think is the greatest, most significant thing that's happened in crypto in the last couple of years, because now the bedrock and the foundation is being laid for the masses to be able to come in. And what you're saying, James, a lot of new people coming in. And Jeff, to your point, is like, what kind of exit strategy you have? It's in the bank. So where's my crypto? It's in the bank. The whole idea of keeping it on a ledger, a Trezor, an Elipal, any kind of hardware wallet is fraught with just a potential danger. And when I saw somebody on hit up Ledger the other day on Twitter saying that they had some ERC20 coins that just disappeared off of they reset their ledger, and something disappeared, and then Ledger was like, hey, we'll get into this, and the thread just grew really long, and you're like, look, listen, we're human beings, right? We're not, and if you're not really that tech minded, somebody else recently that I know was in a group saying like, I was just terrified to be able to send something from like a Binance account to their ledger. This is what is going to keep Main Street away from crypto. And I said that once they solve the custody problem, and having something like your bank being able to custody your crypto, so you move it from one account to the next. You don't have to worry about keys anymore. The bank incurs the risk, and we don't know if FDIC is going to move in and start insuring it the same amount of money, $250,000 worth. But what we know is this is a game changer, because, and I don't know when this is going to actually happen, when you're going to actually start seeing it show up. But if you can custody in a bank, that means you have to be able to buy from a bank, right? What are you going to do? Buy an exchange and then send it off to your bank? So this is a new way. They just open up a whole new avenue for banks to be able to have another revenue stream. And then now, boom, everyone's in the game. And, we talk about, who's out there, James, that could potentially be in this game as far as helping the banks out, as far as the custody side of things is concerned. Who do you think would be out there that could maybe help them?
I don't know. Could I whisper a poly-sign? Or
could be.
I mean, who knows? Who knows? I mean, I dig as I try to look for PDFs. I go in when I do my searches on Google. I look for PDFs. I look for August 2020 poly-sign PDF, just trying to dig something up. And some of this is tight knit. You cannot find information because they're keeping it behind closed doors. But yeah, there's going to be mass adoption in the crypto space when these banks start to custody crypto. People that are invested in crypto now, you have no clue how big this space is going to grow whenever this goes public. I can't even fathom it right now. It's just unbelievable, just the thought of how big this space is going to be. And people are complaining because XRP is 30. They haven't made, their dollars off of XRP. They want instant gratification. And in crypto, you can't do that.
Can't do it in anything. You can't do it in stock. You don't get in unless you're trading stock and doing it.
Your 401k at work, when you join a company, that's going to be years in the process before you can have that 401k or benefits from that 401k when you retire. So when you get into this, just take your time and don't get upset and don't FOMO. This, the same way, don't FOMO, don't have the fear of missing out. Don't spend your entire savings on cryptocurrency. Don't listen to YouTube videos and say, "Oh crap, I need to spend $20,000 on XRP because I'm going to miss out." Don't do that.
That's powerful. That's a
hang on a
powerful.
second, James. Let me write this down here. I got to take some notes here. This sounds like good advice. Hang on, let me write this down. My hand.
That's powerful, though. You think about, and this is where we've both Chip and I kind of have a very similar idea about what happens in the YouTube space or the Twitter space as content creators. As we start seeing Main Street come into the space, is staying away from providing content or making content that's all wrapped around FOMO, because it's very disingenuous, and it's harmful to the space. It's harmful to the people in the space, where here we are, putting this all together because we all have a passion for it. We're making YouTube videos because we have a passion for it. Not everybody's making YouTube videos, but yet there's people that are making YouTube videos, like Chip was saying early on, that are just, it's all about hype, every single day, 589, 589, 589. And at some point, you have to take a step back and say, maybe this isn't the right thing, especially people that as they come into the space, they're going to be looking for, serious content that's going to lead them to the right direction. And here we all sit, making these videos on YouTube or putting up on Twitter. James, you brought up some before, mainstream media isn't really touching on this yet, little bit, you see articles on Forbes, you see articles on Bloomberg, there's some conversation in and around it. That's going to start speeding up rapidly, and then they're going to kind of gain the momentum where you're going to see a lot of the financial news, whether it's on Investment Business Daily or Bloomberg or Yahoo or whatever, they're going to start talking about the digital asset space in mass, and all these FOMO hypesters that are on YouTube are just going to go away, because their message is just going to be drowned out by the serious information. Our role in all of this at this point is to make sure that our voice is still heard when it gets to that Main Street area, that we are able to build platforms that are significant enough that as new people come in, that we can help guide them through a process of understanding. And it's not just about the media on the other end. And we don't even know how media is going to develop and change, as we don't know how this space is going to change. So I think that's where, what you're doing, is extremely valuable. Bringing to the space your perspective on everything, because you can also take, your past experiences, whether it was in sales, whether it's, working, for a big, big corp, or, as you get into, your own experience with trading stock, your own experience, working like within the oil industry, huge commodity, and taking all of that and leverage it. Because a lot of people in Main Street will identify with those same concepts. New people that are all about the tech and don't understand the trading concepts, they love the FOMO, because a lot of people just, I've said this to Chip a lot. Why does some of those videos take off? It's because people always will fall into not all people, but people have a tendency of falling into two camps: FOMO or FUD. They like the FOMO because it's like, oh my God, I missed out on something. Oh my God, what does this guy know that I don't know? Oh my God, he's making a YouTube video. He's talking about XRP. Oh, XRP is never going to see 30 cents ever again. When is it ever going to see it so low? You got to buy. Oh my God, I better buy it right away. So that's one camp. The other camp is, oh, that guy also made a bad investment, and look at all these people following him. Oh yeah, I'm not the only one. I'm not the idiot here. I didn't invest on my own. Look at all these other guys also lost money. So, so those are the two camps people like to fall into, emotionally and psychologically. But we need to separate outside of that and provide real information, doing the real research and all of that. I mean, how do you see that? As you're navigating the space, you created the channel, you're doing all this research. How do you see that navigation?
I feel the same way you do about it. Going in and doing the research, I try to be as factual as I can. I usually don't say the hype. I'll say the what if XRP gets to 100 or 1,000. I'm not going to say, okay, tomorrow it's going to be 589. I mean, people don't want to hear that. Some people do. Some of the younger ones want to hear that. But honestly, I think just getting the information out there as honest as possible and just letting them know that, hey, I'm human just like you are, around the world. I'm not a financial advisor, such and such. I've been in crypto for 3 years, but just getting people to kind of wake up and understand what this technology is about is a real big deal. And, Grayscale here last week, they, I guess, introduced their trust videos on mainstream CNBC and they said their business is starting to pick up a little bit, the Grayscale trust. And it's just a matter of time. I'm thinking once the switch is flipped, we're going to see some pretty mass adoption going on here.
Yeah. Now, what do you guys think of this one? So, Chip brought up some good points on the exchanges and not relying on the ledger and all of that. Put that aside. I was thinking of something along those lines, but here we have this mass adoption. We have China. China has been pushing real aggressively with their central bank digital currency, their CBDC. They took it another step further because now they're introducing the digital yuan in Beijing. So this is now they've taken it out of their incubator cities. China has incubator cities where they don't really care the ebb and flow. If they destroy the economy in the incubator city, then that's okay. But so they have these incubator cities, which is where they've been testing out the digital currency flow on people. And so they're like real world lab environments. It's great. It's like taking the lab rat, but using people in a real, a city environment. They do all sorts of interesting things. But so now they've taken it beyond those borders and they're bringing it to other areas around China as well as Beijing. And they're kind of getting that head start. Now the Federal Reserve is also now talking about testing out their central bank digital currency in the United States, working with MIT. Do you see these types of mass adoptions? It's an awakening, right? I think people are going to become very, very aware of what's happening in the space, and they're now going to seek it out and say, well, I got to understand this more. What's the difference? Distinction. And I mean, that's a whole topic. We've spent an hour talking about it, but just want to get some of your feedback on where you see the direction of this going, with these centrally controlled digital assets, and, what kind of impact that could potentially have on the digital asset space.
In the US, we're looking at regulations. That's the biggest thing holding us back. But Brian Brooks with the OCC now giving the okay for crypto. Sorry about that.
Hello.
Is a big deal. I mean, I think there are things going on behind doors today that we have no clue of, like the Fed Now program, the IMF, BIS, and all these different organizations I know for sure are planning this out behind closed doors. And we just don't see this. And I think it is going to happen a lot sooner than we expect. That's just my personal opinion, just seeing this and and kind of speculating on what I see every day in the news and what I don't see. It's the unknown right now. But
Yeah.
I think this adoption on central bank digital currencies, cryptocurrencies, everything else is going to take off sooner than we think.
Yeah, yep. Chip, what are your thoughts here? So here goes China. They want to take that head start and get in there before everybody else. We know that China's suffering economically a little bit. India is getting ready to one up China in the region as far as a financial superpower. So there's a struggle that nobody's even watching right now, which is India, which is a mistake. But we should be watching it because that's a major change regionally. But just focused on the digital asset aspect. So here goes China trying to dominate the region through a centralized digital currency. How does that impact what we're doing in the US with a little bit of lack of clarity? But to James's point, you got OCC, now we have the custody rule with the banks, all of this kind of setting the stage, right? What do you think?
Yeah, I think with China, when we look at them, they're also on a mass beyond. They're trying to get outside their borders, so they're making a real push to get away from the dollar and trying to start using, their own CBDC, but they're trying to push it beyond. They don't want to just use it internally. But I kind of liken it to this. So on Uphold, you can buy currency, right? So if I wanted to buy, right now it's about $1.30, the US dollar to the pound. But I remember going back, in the 90s and the early 2000s, visiting the UK, and it was like 1.8, 1.85, 1.9. So, I mean, look, you could buy a currency, you could see a little bit of a shift. Let's say the pound gets stronger, and if I buy it at $1.30 and then it goes up to whatever, there's that split, right? Because it's moving against other currencies or our currency. When I look at what China's doing and the whole idea of the CBDC, I think the adoption, I think what it does more than anything is it puts it into people's mind like, oh, it's digital. A digital dollar, so to speak, the CBDC, every central bank is going to want to have their own form of it. They want to be in the game, right? So, but I look at the digital, it's like, what is it going to be worth in reality, right? What is it going to be changing? Do people want to acquire it? Do people want to transact in it? And then where's the interoperability of it, right? So are you going to want to hold it? So I don't necessarily see there's going to be any huge threat there, but I think the bigger threat is, and I think this is what you see Brad Garlinghouse, really getting on the soapbox about, and really getting out there is like, and that's why you hear this from a lot of people in the space, like, hey, we're sitting in the US trying to make that next move. We're trying to get to that next plateau, and you just keep crushing it down because all this other stuff is in the forefront. And the one thing that really matters that can keep the US, like you both mentioned, is the whole sort of regulation. Banks custodying crypto is that first step. But I kind of agree with James, and in another step further, I think some of the regulations are already ready to go. I think they might already be planned, ready to go, because I also think when you look at this administration, they know the threat that China is. They understand it. They have tariffed it. They have seen the currency manipulation over the years. They have seen the favored nation status of China, where they're getting all these benefits as being a sort of a third world country, so to speak. So they're always flying under the radar. They're always manipulation. So you see an administration come in and put a stop to something like that. I think they're very well aware of what they're doing with this digital currency. You don't hear about it, but I do believe that they're ready to go. And I think Brian Brooks getting into, being the comptroller was all by design. I think there's a lot more stuff by design, because you can't have that going forward and creating sort of that foundational stuff if the other stuff's not being either implemented or on its way to being implemented. So I think we'll have regulations very quickly here in the US. I think it will happen within the next year. And I do think it'll happen quicker than we think. I think that everything's predicated on, this whole election that's coming up in the States. That there's a lot of things that you start seeing that are happening and dominoes that are falling into place, to use coining one, 203's sort of terminology, that things are in that stage. And I don't see it necessarily. I think the bigger threat is them one-upping us. I don't see their actual, what they're creating as being an issue, but there's going to be countries that are going to transact in it. You're going to have Iran that doesn't want to use the US dollar. You're going to see certain people in regions that will have that adoption. And I think, Jeff, you're right in saying that India is something to watch, because India is the next powerhouse, okay? Because they've got a very, I like so many things about India as a country. The fact they have so many languages there, but they have an overall sort of a unity, and they really embrace tech. And that's why you see Hyderabad becoming the sort of tech center. Google's there, Apple's there, Microsoft is there, IBM is there. They're all there for a reason, because they're growing, and I think they are the breakout country to come. I don't know, James, what are your thoughts? I know I went on a little rant there, but it was fun. I loved it.
No, hey, man, that was
India.
perfect. Wait, where are we at? There he is. Yeah, he did good. Yeah, all these other countries coming into it, it's just amazing, just all the corridors. If you look at fiatleak.com and just see, all the corridors are not on there, but just to see where everything is going and where everything is leading to, the different countries, India, and it's, I don't know. I'm just totally baffled at the growth and adoption of everything that's taking place in 2020.
Yeah, that's great.
Just 2020. I mean, it's just amazing. Yep. Every day you see something new come out on the news, and it's just
with all the bad, James, there's always good. There's a lot of stuff. Yeah, most people, the media does a really good job at not sharing the truth, right? So you really got to dig. One of the things you said, you got to do your own research. I don't care what the topic is. People are so brainwashed by mainstream media. They want to sit in front of the idiot box, or now I don't know what do you call a phone now? I mean, the idiot box, the boob tube was the TV back in the heyday. I don't know what the
Jeez, you're dating yourself there, now. Jeff.
And now, but here we go, walking around with these devices with access to more information than anyone's ever had in the entire world. And then they say, oh, let me see. Oh, CNN just told me, or someone just told me that, there's systemic whatever. And no, someone else told me that this is that. And I'm like, what? Twitter. I just read a 180 character line that told me something, and that's got to be true because I just saw a meme on it. I mean, how stupid are people nowadays? But to the point that you're bringing up, India is probably the biggest powerhouse economically that the world has ever seen. The potential over there, 750 million people that are living in complete poverty, and you have 1.3 billion people in India, about equal to the size of China. But the difference with India is that it's not a communist, controlled regime that wants to destroy their people. India is on the exact opposite side, where they want to boost up their people, and they're doing everything that they can to pull people out of poverty while they're developing their infrastructure. And it's like super, super impressive. Obviously, there's corruption. There's a lot of other things that go along with it, hence why they're blocking blockchain. But you start seeing that they're open to the tech, not so much the currency, but it's going to be inevitable. They got to open everything up. That, is going to be a game changer, regionally in Asia. China knows that too, right? And China is now going to suffer severely because they're moving trade or manufacturing out of China to India. So India, again, a superpower that's friendly with the United States, friendly with the world. People like India. Here's something else kind of fits into this whole narrative that I think is really important for people to understand as we're moving it. There was a huge, peace treaty that was just signed between Israel and the UAE. The UAE with Abu Dhabi, Dubai. There's basically 7 emirate nations that are all part of the UAE. That's probably the biggest agreement that's ever been signed in that region, that's going to bring more economic growth and development because it creates normalization and this movement out of hate. When you have this ideological, embodiment of nothing but hate, how does that allow you to advance? Hence the left in this country embodies hate. They're imploding on themselves, which is really dangerous. But you got to move outside of that mindset. So this peace agreement now between Israel and the UAE is phenomenal, because what do we see out over in the UAE? What do we see over in Saudi? Is the fact that they're also embracing high tech. And so you're starting to see a lot of movement to blockchain, and how does Saudi get involved in artificial intelligence? That whole region is moving in a positive direction. China moving opposite. Middle East moving in positive. India moving in a positive direction, US moving in a positive direction. And here we go in South America, and you're in the oil industry. Venezuela now has zero production of oil in their country. Zero. They're not pulling any barrels out. They went from like 6 billion barrels a day a couple years ago, maybe like 3 years ago, to less than or to around 100,000 barrels a day being pulled out of the ground. And then they just lost their last platform in Venezuela. So what just happened? We just saw Iranian ships going to Venezuela to bring oil to Venezuela, and they were just confiscated, right? So you see that circumvention of what, and this is all part of the digital asset conversation, the digital currency conversation. Venezuela, China, Iran, North Korea, in part maybe Russia, but there's too much at risk for them to get involved with that kind of chaos. But they're all trying to circumvent the system and create their own tension and chaos. But look what happens to a country that embraces insanity. Venezuela, once the wealthiest country, one of the major oil producers, one of the founders of OPEC, zero oil coming out of the ground out of Venezuela. What does that tell us? And they tried to create the petro. It's crazy. All of these things have to fit together, right?
Blockchain is the solution.
Blockchain is the solution, right? And so here we go, moving in this direction. But the one thing that we get from the race, and that's why the U.S., it's interesting, because I always was saying, where's our regulation? Where's the regulation? But the U.S. is orchestrating. Everything we do in the U.S. based on the Constitution is orchestrated to be slow. It all has to be slow moving, because when it's fast moving, you get socialism and fascism, and things happen that are against the people. But in the United States, things have to move and kind of gear up in a slow way, so we don't make a tragic error. But like Chip's saying, and like you're saying, there's a lot happening behind the scenes that nobody knows about, that are orchestrating the United States to move in a certain direction and take on a China, for instance. But the U.S. has a lot of allies out there right now from an economic perspective that are also moving in that digital environment, but they're going to do it the right way and not in the fake digital dollar way they tried to shove down our throats through that CARES Act, a couple months ago.
That was a lot, Jeff. I'm still on your second point there. I'm reviewing that. Man, that was a lot, but it was spot on.
Lot. Yeah, that was a lot. Sorry for that was went on an hour rant there. I don't know. So, what do you think?
Well, geez, yeah. What do you think? Yeah, I have a friend. He always says he goes on a. I'll be telling him something for about maybe 3, 4, 5 minutes, and he goes, "Yeah, that's my point exactly." I was like, "Well, which one?" I mean, it was like everything that I just said. It's like that's my point exactly.
Look how cool this thing is. Look how shiny.
Yeah, there you go. A shiny little object. I love shiny objects. But look, guys, I'm looking at. I mean, I hate to be the bearer of the news, but here it is. Look at the time, man. We're like coming up on.
Bearer of.
Man, somebody has to do it. The bear, get it? Bear. See, you brought the cartoon bear into it again, Jeff, which is a very good thing. By the way, I still never got my cartoon bear, my little stuffed animal. Still not happy about that. That's a whole rant in itself. But listen, James, I wanted to let's wrap this up and give you like the final word. Your message. And it was great having you here today. Thank you for being a guest. Thank you for what you do in the space. Again, guys, you can go down below and you can go sub to James Rule XRP. Puts out great research on Twitter. You can follow him on Twitter. You can click on his link there below. Follow him if you're not following him. But James, I wanted to give you the sum it up here. Sum it up for us. What do you got?
Sum it up.
Hey guys, I appreciate y'all giving me the opportunity to be on this stream. I'm blessed to be a part of the XRP community in the crypto space. And as the new people start coming into this space, if you know how to buy and trade crypto or whatever, and you have a neighbor or family member or coworker, show them how to do it. Teach the teachers. I mean, I'm trying to present this information as easy as possible. And we're new to this space. We're new to this. There are going to be thousands and millions of people getting into this space in the next year or so. And, as I'll say, again, do your research, watch videos, go to Twitter, follow people that you love, follow people that research what you're invested in. But anyway, thanks, guys. I appreciate y'all having me on here.
And thank you for supporting the channel too. I mean, always, you've been a big supporter of the channel too. I mean, not only being a community member, but always in there providing really, in the chats, providing really good, well thought, messages and questions and talking about stuff. So we've always appreciated that too. And it's always great, to have you on there. Jeff, why don't you, let me put this to you. Take us out of here.
All right. Let me see. Let me think about this. No, I just want to say I appreciate everybody that is always here with us every Sunday on the roundtable. You guys are awesome. It's really about, all of our subscribers that come in and spend their evenings with us or our mornings with us as we go through these streams. Really appreciate everybody. James, appreciate everything that you've been doing in the space. It's great to see you, putting out the content. And then, coming on with us tonight, we'll definitely look forward to having you back on. It's been, this has been a great conversation. So really appreciate it.
It really has been. And just hang on a little bit, right? Once we go past the outro here. But again, guys, we kind of updated our website, onthechain.io, and it's the easiest place to go to find out our videos, because you can actually see the videos right from there. You can also see our other 2 channels. So we'll be adding to that in the future, but it's always a good way. That way you can kind of click on there and see the channels are down below. So that's it, Jeff. Go ahead. What do you got?
That's it.
Is that it?
We're out.
Is that it?
Yeah,
are we out, guys?
Let me get that button. We're out.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.